Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you guys are well. I'm just going to wait for some people to connect, but today I am being joined live by my gorgeous friend and spiritual mentor Jill Kirkham. We are going to be talking today about your autumn equinox spiritual up level. Jill's going to share some top tips with you as to how you can up level spiritually this autumn equinox. And we're also going to chat about how she's been supporting me over the last few months. Those of you who are on my email list will see that I've just emailed you really kind of going deep into some personal challenges that have been going on for me recently. Those of you that follow me normally will know that I don't usually share this kind of stuff. But I felt it was important to share what's been going on in my world with you guys over the last few months, because it's really easy, isn't it, when we're running our businesses, to sometimes think if we're going through hard times, if we're going through challenging times, that we're the only ones that are maybe feeling this way or that are maybe going through this difficult stuff. So I thought I'd share that in my email. So if you're not on my email list, make sure you get on that. It's funny, there was a swear line in the headline and a few people didn't like it and they've unsubscribed. But you know what, here's the thing, I swear. So if you don't want to hear any swear words, maybe don't stay on this live, because that's just the way that I show up, and it's just the way that I speak. Anyhow, right, without further ado, I can see Jill's here, so I'm going to invite her to join the live. It's telling me that I can wave at you. Let me invite you. Oh, hang on one second. Okay, Jill. Sent you an invite, Jill. Let's see if you join me live. So it's really exciting, the conversation that we're going to be having today, because hello, how are you doing, darling?
Hi, I'm good. You've gone really quiet compared to how you were when you were live. You can hear me all right, I take it?
Yeah, I can hear you completely fine. It's probably just a weird thing that happens sometimes when two people join. Sometimes it splits the audio for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Hopefully it'll be fine through the whole thing. So
Okay.
I was just talking before you joined about how about some stuff that's been going on for me personally over the last few months, and just touched on the fact that you've supported me with that. I've just sent out an email to my list, actually, Jill, going deep on that. I don't really share that kind of stuff normally at all, but it just felt this morning like the right thing to do, because do you know, sometimes like when we're running our businesses and we have challenges, sometimes we can feel like maybe we're the only one that's struggling, because we go on Instagram and we see everybody's kind of perfect social media feeds where they're all smashing these goals and they're all achieving all these amazing things and everything in their life just looks absolutely perfect and rosy and wonderful. And the reality is, that that's not always the case. And so yeah, this morning I sent an email out to my list. I was laughing to myself quietly because I put a swear, the F word, in the headline. And I've had I did put some stars in it, to be fair, which is quite tame for me, because those of you who know me know that I like to swear. Anyhow, I've had about 8 unsubscribes as a result of that. I was like, oh man, you're definitely not my people if I can't say fuck in an email subject line. So that's quite funny. I know, stuff like that would have bothered me a while ago, not in the last year or so, but before that it really would have bothered me. So I had a little smile to myself as to how far I've come in terms of accepting me for who I am and not having to worry if people don't like what I say or what I do. So and actually that leads in really well to us and our conversation, I think, today, talking about up leveling and having a spiritual up level and an upgrade, and helping everyone becoming connected to their true self, really. So before we get into all the juicy stuff around that, can you, because I find it really hard to tell people what you do, because all I know is that when I work with you and when we work together, all kinds of magic stuff happens that helps me become the absolute best version of myself. That's the way that I would describe you. But in your words, can you tell everyone who's watching what you do and how you help people?
Oh, it's evolving a lot at the moment. I have, in the last month, developed a new way of helping people really receive unconditionally and to empower themselves. And I'm working with more and more people that are in their own way working in service, in the light workers, multidimensional healers, people that are helping people like you are helping people market and getting themselves out there. So it's a kind of a collaborative empowerment through connecting through energy. And my gifts and talents are like an energetic switchboard, and my normalizing of the cosmic is probably one of the best things that I do, because I can reach people in ways that other people just can't. Because although it is full of magic and mysticism, there's a way that I can speak to people so they get it, so that they are becoming more and more open, more and more available to be everything that they are, and peeling back the skin of their judgment and stuff that's holding them back from their whole identity, and activating their joy and connecting them with all the wonderful synchronicities and coincidences that are there for them if they're just open to seeing them and experiencing them. My past is nearly 20 years of sales. So I was in sales for so long, helping people connect with their desires. Can you imagine that with slight psychic skills that have developed a lot? so yeah, I've been, that's, so I work very much, I understand the corporate sales structure. So I help people put containers together in their life. I can future map, well, I can see future timelines and very quickly pattern things out with them. I can work with multidimensional beings. I'll tell you what's happened recently, which is the most wildest thing, even for me, the last week. The last week has been completely wild. So I can connect with mediumship skills. I can speak to people that have passed to the other side of the fourth dimension as well. And any kind of healing energy can come through me. So I can work with, if people understand this, the Christ consciousness, shamanic pathways, galactic divine intelligence, pure angelic healing energy. It literally, I can recognize the earth healing energy. I did ayahuasca a few years ago, and ayahuasca comes when she wants to. She literally says, I'll take over. And if people need that really subtle, you don't have massive hallucinations, but it just comes to gently weave the essence of truth. So it's whatever the person needs. I can channel it, heal it, bring it.
It's so, when you describe all of this, so guys, for those of you watching, when Jill talks about loads of stuff, this is why I can't really explain what she does, because I'm quite early on into my journey of exploring all of the things that Jill's talking about. So I'll often say, I'm in Jill's community, and she'll post things, and I'll often say, what the hell does that mean? Or when you're talking about that, can you explain that to me? I don't know what you mean, but all I know is that Jill's magic has helped me immensely over the last probably 6 months with all kinds of different things. And but the first Zoom that we ever had was before we'd ever met. We'd not even spoken. We had a Zoom. Jill was in Antigua, I was in England, and we had a Zoom on a Saturday to connect, which I don't usually do, but I just wanted to speak to Jill because there was something about her that was drawing me to her. Anyway, we were on Zoom for about 2.5 hours, but within the first 5 minutes, Jill said to me, oh, sorry to just like you know, go off to what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry to digress.
Yeah.
But have you got a problem with your right knee? I was like, Yeah, it's absolute agony. I injured it 2 days ago. Hadn't told anybody about this, hadn't posted about it, hadn't told anyone in my community, and Jill just knew, and she could read me. So that's an example of quite a practical way that you have identified with something that's been going on with me. But we've also had really amazing experiences. Back in the summer, I had some in-person one-to-one session with Jill, and I connected with my dad who died. And this was to help me with some personal stuff that was going on. And throughout this healing process, it was the most profound experience, honestly, that I've ever had. But I could feel somebody massaging my feet, and I'd forgotten about that until the other day, and it was absolutely amazing. So I messaged Jill this morning when she was talking about the Equinox spiritual level, okay, and she was talking about connecting with beings and blah blah blah. I'm like, nah, I've never had any beings around me. I don't know what. And then I was like, oh yes, actually I have. So sometimes there's stuff that we, until we're switched on, or until we've woken up enough to the signs that are around us or things that are happening to us, we can, if we're not at that level of consciousness, experience things that are happening and not be aware that they're happening. Or even I was aware at the time that had happened to me, but I'd forgotten about it and I'd parked it. And it's only now that I'm stepping into this kind of train of thought that I'm remembering these experiences and recognizing them actually for what they are. So without going on too much about that, I would love you to tell me what is particularly special about the autumn equinox this year. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. And then the next thing we're going to talk about, Jill's going to share some top tips with you guys as to how you can spiritually up level this autumn equinox. So yeah, what's happening? What is the autumn equinox, first of all, and why is it special to people? What's going on right now that
Okay, so the biggest word for me that keeps coming through is the tipping point. We are at a tipping point, both in collective energy and in personal energy. So we have an opportunity now to literally, as I said a minute ago, step out of our old skin. And we have been shown in the last week our darkness, our shadow, our sides that we don't want to see. We've had an opportunity to have people project their stuff onto us and see if we're responding any differently, or see if we can see their broken bits with an open heart, or are we going straight in and projecting our stuff onto them. And it's an opportunity to sit in our heart and be compassionate, whereas we may have been opinionated in the past. The whole equinox experience for me so far has been the power struggle on the planet at the moment is like good, bad, light, dark, ugly, great, just confusion, clarity. It's all been this kind of complete wrong and right and activism and this, and the equinox energy is the start now of the real truth coming out and working that through with compassion, because it's not about the internal fight. The 3 words that I've come up with from my experiences of what's going to happen with the up level that I'm doing is it's about moving through fears of dread. So dread coming first, what's going to happen, moving out of limbo, so that feeling of what am I doing, and the other one was envy. So people that have been held back by dread, limbo, or envy, because they're kind of experiences that you get even in the smallest parts, no matter how far or how good you are at certain things, there's always a bit of, oh, I want that, or God, what's going to happen? The worst case scenario might happen, or that limbo where you're like, I don't know, and it's all a big panic. And it's the key now is with this 9th dimensional consciousness, which I will explain a bit in a minute.
Yeah, because I still want to know what that means.
Is that it's about empowered abundance. Now, an example of this is, for example, is sharing and caring, and people that help each other. So you are now, you know that this event is going to call in 10 leaders. You thought, right, I am going to help that situation. I know that the leaders that I want in this container are going to be high vibe, and I'm going to help Jill get the word out. And for that, there's people watching you, there's people feeling Kerry, there's people feeling us both, and it's that kind of in it together feeling, that moving out of I have to do this on my own, I'm not helping them because it might take my clients away from me. It's that no, not envy, not dread, not limbo. It's like, I know this feels right, I'm going for it. And that comes with authenticity and the willingness to receive unconditionally and trust that you can. It's massive, but it's simple at the same time.
I absolutely love all of that. And it's really funny that you just talked about collaboration. I've been working collaboratively with a friend and copywriter of mine, Lewis, over the last few months.
Yeah.
Since about, I think, when did we start? About February, maybe. And the power of collaboration and us working collectively has just been absolutely immense. But it's really funny, you know, it's the first time that I had worked collaboratively with someone, and I had to be really conscious about some of the feelings that were coming up for me when I was considering doing this. Like, I had thoughts of, oh, you know, do I want to share my stuff with him? You know,
it's very normal.
Yeah, if I'm working collaboratively with someone, will people think that that's because I think that I'm not good enough on my own? All kinds of sorts of questions came up, just little niggles for me they were, but I can see how they can become big for a lot of people, you know, around that fear or that envy or that dread kind of feeling. Actually, for me, I think because I had stepped up a level massively anyway, I was just really excited, and I knew that the power of collaboration was going to mean that together we were stronger, which sounds so bloody cliched, but it's definitely, it's got to be the truest saying going, hasn't it?
It is. It really is.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So with the energy around the autumn equinox then, which is happening on Wednesday, that's right, isn't it? What if people are feeling a shift in their energy, or they've had those feelings of dread or fear or energy, but they're starting to feel like they're ready to move past those feelings and they're ready to step into a future version of themselves? What tips could you share with them as to how they could, you know, what practical things, mindset shifts, what could they do to help them start to make a shift and make some changes?
Okay, great question. I would firstly, this is a massive plug, join my activation for the full moon tonight.
Yeah, well, they're bloody amazing, and I totally agree with you.
And it's a Piscean full moon. Last year, the Piscean full moon activation was the most intuitive moon. We, like, the visions people were having together collectively and separately were immense. So this is about releasing, and then we literally step into the equinox energy in 2 days' time. So if you can't join Lumi, which is my meditation community, I would find a ritual, find the moon, find a way to release today. So take some time, do some real heart-based work around how you've been showing up in your relationships, whether it's work, business, work, home, or family, or, you know, and release and forgive anything that you might have beaten yourself up about. And then just notice the difference. So put a pendulum on a piece of paper, or put two things on a piece of paper and go, judgment, compassion. Where did I act in judgment? Where did I act in compassion? And notice about you and anyone else, and forgive, but also go back to the compassion and see if you can shift up the energy into compassion for yourself and the other person in anything that's been coming up. Be really, really grateful in every moment for any coincidences or synchronicities that have been coming up in this energy, because they are real. And the more you can feel them through your heart, as in gratitude, the ultimate gratitude, appreciation is such a high vibration. the more you're going to raise your vibration more and start getting in flow with these higher consciousnesses that are coming on for your consciousness to connect with. If you get a headache or eye ache or backache, do not go running to the doctors. You don't need pills. I'm not saying that you might for some reason, but it would be my absolute last port of call, because you are very likely to be having ascension symptoms. And what I've been downloading personally in the last 3 days, 4 days, I've been in bed on and off continuously, and even to the point where, I don't know if you can see it now, no you can't, a burst blood vessel in the shape of a heart on my left eye. It was painful, but in the shape of a heart, because the information was coming in so hard and fast that it literally, it was like, oh, this is
I've had really bad headaches over the last, they've actually stopped the last 24 hours, but on the lead up to the last 24 hours, I've had 3 or 4 days of headaches, which have been really bad. And I don't get headaches really, and I've never had a migraine. And at one point I thought, my headache was so bad, I thought, my God, I don't actually know how people with migraines cope with this, because mine hadn't turned into a migraine. I wasn't reacting to light or what have you, but oh my God, my head, that I had pressure in above my eyes, a bit like you're describing, and my eyeballs felt like really, and then above my like eyebrows here, the pressure in my head has felt absolutely huge. But I've done so much sport and exercise, and I've drunk so much water. I've just felt like I've needed to keep doing things to keep my body moving and to keep cleansing and flushing things out.
Yeah, that's really useful. Anything, if your body is talking to you in any way, do that. I would even recommend fasting if people are up for that. If you really want to increase your connection, fasting at these times, it's the hardest thing to do, because your body is going ground, 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 but you have to find another way to ground.
There's a few people on here. So Emma Brooks has been saying, I pulled 3 cards today, 1 fighting, 2 possibilities, and 3 participation. So how cool is the journey of those 3 cards? Like, I just find that really interesting, you know, to start off with a fight, to then move into possibility, and then to develop into participation. That's really interesting.
And that's very real as well, isn't it? As far as the energies that have been going on.
Definitely. And Jess has said that she's had a real headache. Holistic energy practitioner said, my right knee's been feeling really bad for no reason at all. Yeah. So
stiffness moving forward in the masculine, being inflexible in the masculine, or maybe to the masculine. Masculine is also money, remember. Yeah, so let me just feel into that, if there's anything into that knee. So the feeling is holding down in the throat, jaw, so tightness is also related to you being really it's that dread. It's the dread of what to say and what not to say, and not moving forward around that. That's what I think. That's what it feels like from here.
That's so interesting. Noreen saying she's been having a headache as well. Yeah, so
downloading, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. Let the headaches come, let them flow in and out. Just don't push through. Just let it happen.
The minute you've just said about your jaw, Noreen, I'm literally like, I felt like that's just still there. It's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and what other tips can people help with opening themselves up to that spiritual up level?
Again, John Loomy, but apart from that, what means just being more open to other people's thoughts and feelings, being more aware that old constructs in our life are not healthy. Stop watching the television. Literally just stop watching the television. Just watch the movies, but do not watch the television at all. Be as meditate as much as possible. And even if you can't meditate, listen to anything positive with positive affirmations. Do things like disciplined self-care, so disciplined morning journaling, even if it's 5 minutes of setting a pure intention, because spirituality isn't about people like me who can speak to beings and speak to dead people and heal from any place, anytime, anywhere. Spirituality is about humility, being kind, being generous with your abundance, creating abundance for you and for others around you, being positive. That spirituality is being a wholesome, wonderful person. So it's how can you do that? How can you get unstuck and think, yeah, how can I just make good out of this and not put pressure on myself? Spiritual people, don't get me started on people the spiritual ego. So we'll do another session on that. But yeah, I'm more spiritual than you. It's not about that.
I know, it's really interesting, isn't it, learning all about for me, learning about all of this kind of stuff, because I think sometimes it's interesting you just touched on that, actually, because for anyone that's new to all of this, I definitely suffered with imposter syndrome around spirituality because I thought I didn't know anything about spirituality.
Yeah.
Therefore that meant I couldn't be a spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's fascinating that you've just touched on that. Okay, cool. So what I have really learned a lot about over the last couple of years, I think, just going back to business related stuff for now, is that if stuff in my personal life is out of whack and I choose to sit in dark energy because of that, it completely stumps and stilts my creativity. So I can still perform outwardly as a coach and a mentor, and I can be all jazz hands for my clients, and I can support them, and I can give them loads of ideas, and I can pull enough out of me to give to people.
Mm-hmm.
What I've realized I can't do is when I'm empty inside, I can't then perform for me in terms of my creativity and my growth and my expansion for my business. It keeps me completely stuck if things are off whack with my energy, with my health, with my relationships, or any of those kinds of things. So that's where you've really massively helped me, because we were talking about this the other day, and actually I rarely, when you help me, I rarely talk to you about my business at all, or what's been going on in my business in any way, shape or form. I come to you because I know that there's something happening in my personal that is keeping me stuck, and therefore it's impacting me on my business. So we don't really talk about business ideas or anything like that. We just, I just go straight in and massively vulnerable pretty much, aren't I? And I'll tell you, all the stuff that's going on, and you can really help me with that. And so when I saw your email about the autumn equinox and this spiritual up level and this 6-week container that you've put together, I read a lot of the page. I messaged you to say I don't really understand what half of it is talking about, because I'm not there yet in terms of my knowledge with my spiritual journey. But everything about what you were talking about in terms of the outcome really, really resonated with me, because I've been working very, very closely with Gemma Went, who's my business mentor, over the last 6 months, and I am studying for her certified conscious consultant program, which has been amazing, and I've got all kinds of new exciting stuff that I want to offer for that. But again, imposter syndrome started to rear its head, and I've been like, who am I to say that I can create conscious business offers? I'm only just learning about that now, and all of those kinds of things, right? So when I saw the program that you're offering with the spiritual up level for the autumn equinox, everything about it just spoke to me on every level, because it was all around stepping into that future vision of me and who do I want to become, and really connecting deeply with my true self. So so when you shared that, I was like, oh my God, I need to do that. And then the other thing that I just needed to do this morning was to get you on here to talk about it too, because I feel like I want to share it with as many of my people as possible. So can you tell everyone who's watching this a bit about this? Like, this has just come to you in the last couple of days, hasn't it? This 6 month up level package. And there are 10 spots. I've taken one of them. I don't know how many are left, but I wanted to just share this with my audience so that they had an opportunity to find out a bit more about this, because it might well resonate with them too. And I, like you say, I want to make sure, because I'm part of something now, that a load of other really amazing, interesting people who are totally in my vibe join. And so from a selfish perspective, but also from a totally unselfish perspective of just spreading the light and the word about it. So can you tell everyone a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm going to ask Gemma. You've reminded me as well. I think Gemma Went should come in. So I'm going to speak to her straight after here. People like you and people like Gemma are absolutely conscious business owners anyway. I mean, you seriously are, Kerry, a massive conscious business owner. And as soon as it is 100% for you, because your light is so crystalline. And what I mean by that is light, because your frequency is high, your vibration is high, and you work from the heart space, you work with integrity, you call people in, you will help people. You don't help people because you want something from it. You understand boundaries, you understand your sovereignty, you understand energy exchange, and you charge decent money for your products and services, and they're worth it. That's the sort of people that I'm calling in. And the reason why it's only 2 days away is because I only channeled the information 3 days ago, and I've literally been in and out of sleep having to download the rest of it and understand what it comes in processes. So rolling back, the outcome is absolute empowering, self-empowering manifestation, really quick, and having a tool, an energetic tool that you can use on yourself and your clients. Understanding the difference between the light and the dark, and having this tool as a light tool, literally a 9th dimensional light tool, and also being part of anchoring. This is what I do. This is what I've gone around the world doing without even realizing I was doing it initially, is anchoring energy into the planet that's coming down. So this group on Wednesday night are going to help anchor 9th dimensional golden print consciousness into the grid system of the earth, to help the planet stabilize and wake up through this higher vibrational energy. And that's why they need to be higher vibrational beings to do that. And then everyone that does that is going to have an imprint of doing that. And it wouldn't surprise me if they are then doing that themselves after as well. Just going to places like sacred circles, and where, like, I've been in Peru and Israel and Iceland and Spain and Antigua, lifting up the slave consciousness and working with the Knights Templar energy and all of those things, clearing it, highlighting it, bringing in the divine feminine. It's that kind of work which is can only be done by people with big hearts, because they aren't all about them. It's like I'm here, I'm a conduit, I bring this energy to me and I will do what is needed. I'm in, but I also love myself and I do what's good for me, and I'm here to activate joy in myself. Okay, so that's the people. That's what happens. What happened to me in the last 5 days? What was I doing? I was at a friend's house. They just got back from somewhere and their washing machine is really annoying. It's one of those annoying washing machines that goes beep, 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 beep after a cycle. Yeah. Why? They don't tell you that when you buy a washing machine, that it doesn't stop beeping when you buy it. Anyway.
Thank God, yeah.
Well, this one didn't, and it started at 3 o'clock in the morning, just before I was going for a weekend of doing tantra learning in Southend-on-Sea. So so I was awake from 3 o'clock and started downloading this green and gold throat healing energy, emerald green, which is what I've found out since confirmation that is coming into other light workers as well. So it's been really disruptive. It's been a really disruptive energy. This, which is on a shelf there, flew off while I was talking to someone else, and that was clearing, since worked out, that was clearing responsibility energy, so feeling too responsible.
But the basket flew off? Yeah,
it just came off and then landed up on my feet. Then I was like, all right, what? And then there's cold energy and flashes were here and here and moving and then going, and it was all about being responsible for others and letting go of responsibility for others. I felt like I was being followed around the house. There was dark energy in the house. There were smells in the house. My granddad came to talk to me, told me to slow down. Yeah, loads of happenings, more so than normal, in a very short space of time. Nothing freaks me out anymore, literally nothing would scare other people. I think the more galactic people are, the more they're so tuned into that, because the divine consciousness can talk through the Wi-Fi because it's structured. So what I've been shown is, so the angelic energy is a really soft, beautiful light like this, but the galactic energy is like strips of data, you know, like, and they can work through the electricity. So that's why you know it's 333 and someone tells you, or it's 555 on the clock, and you get to look because it's 555, tell her to look, and whatever, you know, those kinds of things. So I was, yeah, there's some, let me just rewind a minute. Oh, and in my crystalline mastermind group, which is a secret group in Luminous for the really highly kind of seers, there's a lady called Jane, and there's 2 others. So there's 4 of us in there at the moment. And I said, right, okay, today we're going to decide what it is that we choose, what we choose to move forward with. And my personal one was, I want to channel like a lady called Elizabeth April, who is a Galactic Federation channeler, and she speaks voice, you know, like Abraham Hicks, so Esther Hicks literally speaks the voice of Abraham. And I've never been able to do that. I can hear words, feel words, feel light, feel colour, but not actually as a voice. And this dark energy was in the room, and I was speaking to one of the members, Jane, who's been an absolute godsend. Whereas I bring all the energy in, and there's so much of it, she can see, and I can then bring stuff that, it's almost like we've been brought together to connect with each other and collaborate. So I can see one thing but she can't, and then she can see one thing and I can't, and then we put the pieces of the puzzle together, which is also what I've asked for. I don't want to do this on my own. I want there to be a galactic table of 10 of us all working together with different pieces of the puzzle together, and that would be my absolute passion, to have those kinds of people that are all in it together and to help each other. So anyway, Jane saw the spiral, the energy, and we worked with this spiral, and I then had to go and work with it, and then she did. We were getting different imprints. It was in parts of the house and then in different parts of the house, and the energy that was with me was my galactic family, and I turned them off as a child because I was so scared as a child. I remember we had one of these big old cold houses, and it's like the heating was never warm enough, and there was always things there, and it was always cold, and type parents, I guess, but it wasn't pleasant, and it was basically it was a show to me that I'd had these capabilities since about 4 years old, if not before, but that's when I turned them off, and it all just came in. So using this 9th dimensional consciousness, which is a pure divine light, and it's spiral energy, but you have to see the threads and where to go and what to do with the darkness in us, anchored into the earth, and then working with this consciousness of the past, because there is no time, I then got all my powers back, gifts, talents, whatever you want to call them, in a heartbeat, and started channeling like Elizabeth April in 3 days. And that was it. And so that's what this is available now to everybody. So I thought, right, 10 is a good container. It's a 6 weeks, so not 6 months, it's 6 weeks. We're going to do the Equinox, which is a group, then work one-to-one, me and Jane, so we can do galactic patterning, color signaturing, anything that's blocked in the energy, anything to do with past lives, connection with what your majority energy is, what do you need, then show you how to use this spiral. Then another group spiritual mastermind, so everyone again is together, what's showing up for you, how you're getting on, do some more activations, then another one-to-one, then another spiritual mastermind completion, and then a ritual to do on the 31st of October separately to kind of finish the whole thing off. So that is it, and you will then always have access to me for when you need to use the spiral, if you ever need any help. But it's kind of, once it's in, it's in. You'll just have it. You'll just have it.
I can't stop smiling because I'm so excited about this, even though I don't understand it. What I love though is that I'm on a live, and I don't. Yeah, what I love is that I'm on a live and I don't have any issues with being completely vulnerable around it and just saying I don't know. But my gut, my heart, my instinct, my intuition, my everything is telling me that I want to get involved in every single way. So on that note, if you've been watching this, guys, and you're interested to find out more about Jill's Autumn Equinox spiritual up level, there's a link to page in my bio, on my Instagram bio. I'll put a link in this live as well. So awesome. Have a look at it, see if you like the sound of it, if you think it's right for you. If you're like me and you've just got this feeling that you're being pulled towards it, or you're being drawn to it, or something inside of you, but you don't understand it and you're worried that maybe you need to understand something or what have you, anyone can drop you a DM or a voice note or whatever, can't they, Jill? Just to chat with you about whether they're the right person, whether it's the right fit for them, or if they've got any questions from reading the page and they're thinking, what does that mean? I'm not quite sure about that. Definitely. They can send you a DM. Because really, you know, probably the best way to describe it, like when I talk to people about this kind of subject, you know, I'll talk about that feeling of awakening, of waking up, of starting to question what's happening, knowing that there's something more, wanting something more, being aware and sensing that maybe things have been a bit out of whack or off kilter for you, or whatever it is, you feel like there's something that you're not connecting with maybe, and you want to have help to connect with those things, with that path or whatever it is. You'll have an inkling. If you're watching this, even if it's not all making total sense to you, my feeling is that you'll have an inkling. Something about this conversation will be sparking an interest. And you know what? You might decide that you're going to forget about it. And probably throughout the day, it'll niggle at you. and you'll be doing something, or you'll be cooking the dinner later, and it'll bring you back to this conversation. So if you are getting a niggle or an inkling, or if there's a really strong urge, listen to it, have a look at the information, and if you're stuck on anything and you want any clarity, give Jill a DM and she'll answer all your cues and have a chat with you.
Absolutely, definitely, Kerry. Thank you. Let's all collaboratively just manifest unconditional love, manifest whatever that we want.
I love that. Let's manifest unconditional love.
Yeah.
How about that for a bit of Monday goal setting, guys?
Yeah.
Doesn't really get any better than that, does it?
Not really. Unconditional joy. I quite like that too.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Manifesting unconditional joy. Unconditional and never-ending joy.
Yeah. Yum.
That sounds delicious. Right, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Jill, for joining me. As ever, we could probably stay on all day long. I've got to get my family up from the train station now, otherwise this could go on for hours. I will. I'll speak to you later, honey.
Okay
Thanks,
then,
everybody.
lots of love. Bye
Bye,
everyone.
and to you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.